Behind me here are two different camera inserts that you can put your gear into. One of them is slightly longer, but does that mean that's the one you should get? Not exactly. So, two camera inserts. One of them being the large Peak Design camera cube, the other being the f-stop ICU Pro XL. I'm going to go over a couple different considerations you should account for when looking into these to pick which one's right for you. The things we'll be looking at is the size of each bag and why that's important, the features each bag have, and then my overall impression and opinion on which one's right for you. Couple quick disclaimers. I do have a couple other Peak Design products. I have their tripod and then I have a couple of their slings, but I bought all of that with my own money. Neither of these companies pay me. And if it looks like it's gonna affect their bottom line, I don't think they ever will. So if you could hit that like and subscribe to support good, honest review work. All right, so size. The large camera cube is about 17.5 by 12.25 by 6 inches. Now the ICU is 19 inches by 11.5 by 7 inches, which means the ICU has about 250 more cubic inches than the Peak Design camera cube. But the size and dimensions can come at the cost of function. The reason I got both of these inserts is so I could use my hiking bags and be able to have better ergonomics and carry more of these things with me on expeditions versus traditional camera bags. The hiking bags I use have a horseshoe front opening container where I can still access my camera gear, especially my Sony 200-600 attached to the camera body. Now one of these bags is my Gregory Baltoro 70. Both of these inserts work great in it. However, my QU Pro 3600 only works well with the Peak Design camera cube. The f-stop insert is so long that I'm not able to fully close that horseshoe zipper. So depending on the bag you have, you could have more compatibility issues with the f-stop ICU. So as you see, even though it fits in this Baltoro, it is very difficult to access your zipper here, and you really have to work and manipulate in order to be able to get to the gear. But it does fit and you can put a lot of gear in here. One thing I would love to see out of both companies is, whether at the top corners here or the very top, some kind of button clasp or buckle to where if I'm hiking with my bag closed and I need to access my camera gear, I only have to manipulate one zipper and have a quick option to access my gear, rather than having to manipulate two different zippers. So if anybody on the R&D team is watching, look at some kind of clasp or buckle at the top. So on to the features. This is the version 1 of the Peak Design Cube, but I'm gonna discuss some of the version 2 features as well, since this one's been discontinued. It has weatherproof zippers, so very good for rain, and it has grab points on both sides here. So whether it's the top or the bottom, you can grab it. It does come with these C-clips because you have these little rings here. You can mount it inside your bag and hold it in place so it doesn't shift around. And then if your bag allows for it, it does have these side opening areas, which I don't really use just for my own use case, but works well for you if you have that option. And those are on both sides there. Now the V2 is supposed to have a larger front opening so it's easier access, which is even better than this one. The version 2 of this bag is also supposed to be about 10 to 15% lighter, which initially I think, okay, whatever. But I also thought the same thing when it came to the Peak Design tripod, and I went ahead and I just grabbed the aluminum one. About 18 months after that, I went to a camera store, I picked up the carbon fiber, and it all made sense on how much that weight matters. So I'm sure if I had these side by side, then I would really appreciate that difference in weight. I just don't, but I still want that carbon fiber tripod. The f-stop insert has these Velcro straps if you're trying to attach it to an f-stop bag, or if you're using another bag, it has these metal D-rings. They sit in the middle though, but they are metal and there's 3 of them. There's not one on this side if you're trying to secure it to another bag. Now, as far as handles go, it only has one at the top. It doesn't have the one at the bottom. So carrying it with one hand, you are turning the bag. You don't have the option to carry it flat unless you pick up the bag. The bag itself has industrial cross stitching to help keep it secure, help keep those frayed threads from coming out. And the lid itself actually is functional as an insert, so you could stick an iPad or you could stick a flash diffuser in there. So the f-stop insert has this, whereas the Peak Design does not. So that is a big win there. Moving to the inside of the bag here, one of the great features is these Velcro straps that go over. It's a great way to secure your items in case it's not quite as tall as the bag so they don't fall out. It's also great if you are on location and you leave the bag like this and not have it fully closed up, it's just another way where things don't come and get pulled out to offer just a little bit more security there. However, it is a deep bag, so when you have things like this drone here or smaller lenses, they will move around just a little bit. Another thing to note is that padding is a little bit thicker, where some of that volume that you won versus the Peak Design camera cube you lose by a negligible amount. But even more than that, these inserts are extremely difficult to move and use. So they get caught and they are very fibrous, which if you have like a hangnail or a Band-Aid or something, it's gonna get caught and you're gonna take some of these fibers with you. So on Peak Design's dividers, they are a little bit thinner, which you win on the real estate side of things, but technically it's less protected. However, if your bag is taking a tumble like that, the space between all your gear is probably going to be the least of your worries. Now their answer to shorter gear is brilliant. It's this foldable shelf here to where I can fully divide these so my teleconverters can sit one on top of the other. I only need one at a time, or I've got my flash trigger here with my 50mm under it. So shorter gear can take these foldable shelves, and I think that works a lot better than the Velcro system. Velcro system has its own use case, but for just managing your gear, I think that works a lot better. Also inside of this, we have this floating pocket, which I have attached here, and oftentimes I will keep SD cards, hidden monies, bongo ties. I have an air tag in there right now just to track the bag, and of course it moves around the bag. Has a nylon here for its water resistance, so it can still fit everything nicely in here, and these are just a lot easier to move in and out. I know they changed the material a little bit for the version 2, but these still work really well. Also in the lid here, I fully think they could put some kind of insert where you could carry flash diffusers, an iPad maybe, something of that, or at least something foldable here. A lot of real estate that you could use right here. I would love to see that from Peak Design in the future. So my thoughts. I love the size of the f-stop bag. And if I was shooting a wedding and needed as much gear as possible and leaving this in one location, then this would be my bag of choice. But for those things where it's one backpack, run and gun, excursions, the Peak Design is my choice. The weatherproofing, the durability, the functionality, all win me over. So essentially, if you're gonna be on location, not moving around, and you're able to have this maybe even outside of a backpack, f-stop will work for you. They even make a larger one than this. And if you're on the go, hiking, want bag compatibility so you have more options for backpacks, then choose the Peak Design. This doesn't mean I'm returning the ICU. It still works great as a checked bag for all my accessories, something that I can leave at base camp, so when I'm out hiking, this can hold all my extra chargers, laptops, maybe even extra clothes, things that I don't need to take with me every hike. I hope that helps y'all out. If you have any extra input or feedback, put it down in the comments below. And if you want to check out one of the expeditions I've been on, check out one of these videos. But I appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, I'll see y'all later.